Good morning, everybody. I'm Tharuka, the leader, and my group members are Dihini Kankanamge, Prathiba Sankalani, and Buwani. Today, we will be sharing our knowledge on Nectar and a Sieve by Kamala Markandev. This jogs my memory of the quote, "Work without hope draws nectar and a sieve, and hope without an object cannot live," which shows that if there is a hope, it will be just all nectar. That is drawn will be for note. It will be just like it is drained through a sieve. And the same thing goes for hoping without a particular object in mind. So there is no point in that. So now I would like to hand over the presentation to Dihini.
Yes, thank you. And Nectar and the Sieve is a literary creation done by Kamala Markandeya in 1954. This book is set in a landscape in India of the rural agricultural environment. And the protagonist and the narrator of this story is Rukmani, who is the daughter of a village headman. And Rukmani is given in marriage to Nathan, a tenant farmer, at the age of 12 as a young bride. This story is told in the first-person narration, and this story stretches from the beginning of her childhood marriage time, and it ends with the death of her husband Nathan. The image below shows the first edition of Nectar and a Sieve, which was published in 1954.
So now let's have a quick glance to the themes of Nectar and a Sieve. The major theme of this novel is hope, and the other themes are suffering of rural Indian people, education versus agriculture, clash between old and new, social criticism, hunger as a threat to grow and live life, and women and sexuality. From here, Prathiba will continue the presentation.
Thank you, Buwani. The novel Nectar and a Sieve begins with Rukmani as an old woman. The given quotation, "Sometimes at night, I think that my husband is with me again, coming gently through the mist, and we are tranquil together." It metaphorically brings out Rukmani was recalling past memories about her husband, even he was not physically present in front of Rukmani. Next, Dihini will continue the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Prathiba. This story starts with a flashback of Rukmani as an old woman. This shows the eminent change that has occurred in Rukmani's life since the time she was given in marriage as a child bride. Hence, it is proved the fact that life flourishes and dies, and that change is the only absolute. According to Rukmani in the novel, in page 29, "Change I had known before, and it had been gradual. I had seen both my parents sink into old age and death, and here too there was no violence." This shows that not only of Rukmani's life, but also of the people around her were affected with this change, which is absolute and can be avoided by anybody. Hence, the writer tries to give the focus of the reader towards the change, which develops towards the plot development of the story, and hence which makes the story more interesting towards the reader.
The tannery is, among many things, a symbol of modernity and industrialization. It transforms the village economically and the relationships of people within the village. Once Mahatma Gandhi said that they can torture my body, break my bones, even kill me, but then they have my dead body, but not my obedience. In his saying, he states that how whites can hurt non-whites. Another victim of British imperialism is Rukmani. Her struggle to live with foreigners is presented in this novel. The tannery shows the economic situation of India. Not only that, but also the adversity of the villages are shown. The below quotation emphasizes that the Rukmani's great antipathy towards tannery and the love towards placid rural environment. Now, I will pass the presentation to Prathiba to talk about the time changing of this novel.
Yes, thank you, Buwani. The whole story changed over the time. The first sentence of the given point shows how days, weeks, months, years, and seasons are changed. The first quotation, Deepavali, the festival of lights, approached. It's a festival mainly for the children, but of course, everyone who can take part. It shows how the season changed, giving an idea about the Deepavali festival. Deepavali is a festivity celebrated in the month of October. According to Markandeya, it is the month of children. From counting annas, as the days went by, we began to count rupees, 4 rupees, 5, 6. It makes a sense of rapid time movement of days, weeks, years, and seasons.
In this novel, the writer Kamala Markandeya forces the reader to contemplate the opposites of the environment and heredity. For instance, to look at the same information from different viewpoints. In the novel, the writer has used character foils to emphasize this point. As an example, we can take Rukmani's and Kunti's characters, and through that, we can see the difference and the contrast that is made among the rural Indian women in the agricultural society. And moreover, not only of characters, but also the opposites of the environments are also shown in the novel. As an example, in the first part of the novel, the incidents being taken place in the agricultural rural society, and the latter part of the story being occurred in the much more urbanized societies in India shows the contrast, and hence it helps towards the plot development of the story, making the story breaking the monotonous nature of the story and also making it more enjoyable to the reader as well.
Raised in India as a Hindu Brahmin, Markandeya has applied Hindu beliefs on her works. Markandeya has shapes Rukmani's story around traditional life stages of Brahmin caste. A Brahmin should celebrate their studenthood first, then marriage, procreation, and duty and work. After the first grandson, the forest dwelling stage is begin, and the final stage is wandering as a beggar. So the Rukmani passes through all of these traditional stages, and the below quotation emphasizes Rukmani's mother's remedies for her temporary barrenness and Brahmin religious beliefs and rituals. Those kinds of superstitious beliefs on God related to the Brahmin society.
Here, the way the readers expect the novel to proceed, the author has narrated in the same way. And when it comes to the language in the novel, the wordsmith has attempted to fabricate it using metaphors, which ameliorates to express the narrator's experiences and emotions in different circumstances. To give an example, let me pick the character of Nathan. Nathan, in his last minute, he vocalizes, "You are not alone," he said. "I live in my children," and was silent. And then I heard him murmur my name and bent down.
After Nathan's death, Rukmani was really discouraged. But gradually she understood the inevitability of death. Her waking life after Nathan's death is peopled with Puli, Ira, and Selva. She is really pleased because she is able to live with her loved ones at least at the latter part of her life, even though she loses her husband. Even though she faces many challenges, she never entirely loses her hopes for future. Her ability to find an enjoyment in a trivial matter allows her to see the possibility of everything, even in his darkest hours. Even though her hopes flash again and again, she never ceased to develop another new hope. The below quotation metaphorically emphasizes Rukmani is eager to find a new hope with everyday sunshine.
Your 10 minutes is up.
Even at the latter part of this novel, Rukmani was full of hopes.
As we all know, the novelist's presence in the novel, due to pen of her work, placing symbols like Kenny, which thereby she attempts to make her language transform into metaphorical to symbolical. For an example, here Markandeya used Kennington to symbolize the colonization of rural India.
The content of this presentation is extracted from the article by Barry Argyle based on the novel Nectar in a Sieve by Kamala Markandeya.
You must cry out if you want help. It is no use whatsoever to suffer in silence. Who will succor the drowning man if he does not clamor for his life?
This is an important quotation done by Kamala Markandeya, and it can also be greatly reflected from the story as well. In this story, we can see Kenny criticizing Rukmani and the fellow villagers for suffering alone and not for crying for help. He further criticizes that they are suffering in silence. It can be taken as a great moral for the reader as well, regarding not looking for help whenever we are in need.
So guys, marking the end of our presentation, we admire your kind cooperation and thank you and hope you learned something up to the minute today.